It's time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back. Don't forget, the children are our future.
Hello, my name is Hosea James Gavan II, and welcome to this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. This is an opportunity for us to showcase urban superheroes in our community, and today we're going to introduce to you one of our new hosts, Mr. John Jenkins. John, welcome to the family, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. John and I go back. I used to be a dean at an elementary school in Hollis, Queens.
Way back.
PS 118. Actually, the first school I ever attended was PS 118. But John is a. I'm gonna let John tell us a little bit about his history. I was about to talk about you. You talk
Right.
about yourself, brother. Let them know who you are and what we're trying to do with this show.
Okay. So just a little bit of background, like Ms. Gavan was saying. Born and raised, Queens, New York kid. Went to 118, Susan B. Anthony, that's 238. What else? Went to the old Andrew Jackson campus magnet. So, but yeah, after that, just, a staple in my community. That's what Ms. Gavan was. Definitely helping everybody, with basketball, life issues, like everything. If you had a question or something, you definitely went to Ms. Gavan to,
Thank you.
figure that out. So I appreciate him for being, there for me, because my mom worked at 118. My dad, he was in the military, so he was always deployed a lot. So definitely a great male role model to have in my life. So I definitely appreciate him for that.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
it definitely helped me figure out, what I wanted to do in my life as far as being a journalist, playing basketball. I went to school at Delaware State University, graduated there with my bachelor's degree in mass communications, concentration in convergent journalism. So what that is, just all aspects of journalism, reading, writing, film, print, TV, all those things. So I definitely thank you for being that foundation for me and figuring those things out with my life.
Absolutely. John, this is to me a pleasure having you as one of our hosts.
Right.
Me being able to introduce you to our audience. I've known John since the second grade. His family is close to my family. We go way back, as he mentioned. But we wanted to, with this show, kind of broaden it as we go into 2018.
Right.
And one of the things that we're hoping to do is begin to really showcase some of the urban superheroes that are in the sporting world.
Right.
And it could be sporting on the national level, it could be sporting on the local level, but we want to begin to shine some light, or continue to shine some light, because we've actually had guests on our program,
Right.
community coaches, football, baseball, basketball, but we want to expand that. And this is going to be thanking you for taking on the responsibility of
Yes,
helping
sir.
us
Yes, sir.
continue to kind of make roads to try to identify people who we need to focus on in terms of their contributions and the good things that they're doing with young people
Right.
in our community. But I want to take you back. I'm going to take you back.
Okay.
Because I remember we once visited a set, not too much different from this, but maybe on a grander scale. It was at ESPN.
Right.
And there was a host from Hollis, Queens, by the name of Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
Right?
Okay. Right.
And I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you asking him a question
Right.
about what it would take to be in the field of journalism. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, actually. Yes, I was 10 years old, I believe. 10,
Yeah, I
11
think
years
you were
old.
10. So how old are
Yeah.
you now? Let them know.
Oh, I'm 25 now.
So we're
you're
talking
telling my
15
age,
years.
Telling my age now, yeah. But yeah, at least 10 years ago, yeah. 10, 15 years ago, just a very curious young man. I knew what I wanted to do with my life, and that was just, the main foundation was just like, okay, everybody was trying to figure it out, but I knew what I wanted to do, and I just had that support system, with you, all my other coaches, my mom. So, I was just had the confidence just stand up and ask him, and little did he know we'd be working together 15 years later. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So tell us a little bit about your story. You
Okay.
mentioned that you went to Delaware State. You graduated when?
2014.
2014.
Yes, sir. So there, just, the the whole field of journalism is networking. So it's all about, who you know and then your work ethic behind it. So there, after I graduated, I had a sports internship at CBS 2 News. My aunt, she works there. She was one of the senior producers, so she helped me, get my foot in the door. And just, a lot of, I want to say kudos to a lot of the people on their sports team there. Mr. Mark Reeves, he was a sports producer. And I was just, I wasn't really getting paid for anything. It was just, the grit and grind, job shadowing, figuring out, how to, tell a story or how to, create certain content that, the viewers want to see. And he really helped me out with that. And that just opened another door to me getting my foot in at ESPN in their content associate program. So I thought that was just very cool as far as, just those doors that were open and just to continue growing.
So you were at ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut?
Right, at the headquarters in Bristol, yes, sir.
Okay, that's big time, man. You're getting a lot of valuable experience with some really key companies.
Extremely valuable. And, it was like a fifth year of college. A lot of young people like me trying to figure out, what they want to do. And just the program itself was just a lot of great experience, a lot of behind the camera work, creating content. So I just, thankful and blessed. I'll be using that a lot during that journey.
Okay, great. So you were at ESPN, and then what was your next step after ESPN?
So after ESPN, I decided to pursue like further career opportunities, and there I became a digital media producer with the NBA in Secaucus, New Jersey. So not the headquarters in Atlanta, but still.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So the NBA is no longer headquartered in New York City.
So
it's now down.
So there's a main one in New York, and there's another one in Atlanta. But I was in Secaucus, New Jersey, where the replay center was. They create a lot of content for the NBA app, WNBA.com, international apps. So that's where my main domain was.
Okay. Can you share with us some of the sporting events that you may have been involved with throughout the course of your experience with ESC? You said CBS initially, CBS, ESPN, and then the NBA.
Okay, so for CBS, it was more of like just interning. So I was just kind of the guy, just watching everyone else like do certain events. But at ESPN, we were involved with I know there was a big event. Trying to think, who did we end up going with? I know we went to the women's basketball game a couple of times. Like a lot of producers, just getting content, grabbing things from there.
So is that because I know there's a WNBA
there's a Connecticut
franchise in Connecticut. So you went to that.
No, we went to more of the college games because that's when they were doing.
Oh, UConn.
Right, yeah, they were working on their triple-digit win streak.
Oh,
so that was like a lot of news that was going on there, and then we had a lot of celebrities come in just talk about their experience. Odell Beckham Jr. came in, Rob Gronkowski, Terrell Owens, Kevin James. Who else? Kevin Hart was there a couple of times.
Who's the most impressive celebrity you've met thus far?
Most impressive. Let's see. I'd probably have to go with. I was gonna say Kevin Hart, but it was like a high buy moment. He was just like, he gave me the salute. I have to say Ice Cube.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. Getting a chance to meet him, talk with him. He's a real LA fan, like die hard. So.
Oh, is he right? That's right.
Yeah.
So he's what LA
everything.
Okay, Lakers, Dodgers.
Yeah, LA everything. So I got a chance to like see Jahlil Okafor like after they won the championship, and I'm like a huge Duke fan, and his hands like just swallowed mine. But I mean, he was, had other shows he had to do, but those are two like main people who stood out during that time.
Okay, that's what's up, man. So you've had the opportunity to meet some big time celebrities. I understand you met one of my childhood idols, Walt Clyde Frazier.
Yes.
I saw a picture with you too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how was that meeting Walt Clyde Frazier?
I mean, it was pretty cool. He was just he was getting pregame mode. So I guess he took a picture of me, just told me I told him like my aspirations as far as being on air, and just trying to figure out how to get in that door. And he was just very helpful. Just told me a lot of people like who I need to stay in contact with, and just continue building relationships while I was at work. But I just that was one of the benefits working at the NBA. When you work there, you're able to go to certain games in the tri-state area. So it was like the NBA. You could go to the Knicks game, Sixers game, or the Nets game, and you can cover it. So that was one of the benefits. I was able to cover the Knicks game and just like you said, talk to one of the NBA legends. So I thought that was just a great experience, and that was just a blessed opportunity.
Amen. That's fantastic, man. A lot of things that I think about over here, and I want to go back because the question I want to for the audience, we had an opportunity to take a group of our basketball players and members of our basketball league called the Hollis Biddies Basketball League to the set of, I think the show's name was Quite Frankly, with Stephen A. Smith, right? And what I was so impressed with Stephen A. Smith, and he comes across sometimes on the air as he's a comedian, like a clown, right? But he is as serious a person as I've ever met in terms of his commitment. Because when we had the opportunity to bring our group to him, he came back out to speak to our group after the show. Right. And he was very, very serious and very, very interested in making sure that he shared with the kids as much information as he could to make sure that if anybody was interested in what he was doing, to give them that insight in terms of what it was required to make sense. And I found that was very impressive to me because he was coming from the heart, you know. And he's from Hollis, so you know how we do. Hollis sticks with Hollis, so you know that.
Please take care of everybody.
But specifically, you asked the question, what, and I don't even know why I remember this because this is your life, but I do remember it. And you asked him basically how did he get into what he and how did he build his career pretty much. And if I'm not mistaken, do you remember the answer? Now you were 10 and I was older, so I might have but it left such an impression because what he was telling me, I guess he play for Big House, the coach the legendary coach, Big House, I think it's Big House Gaines.
I believe so.
I think he played. I went to stay on for a little bit. He was there, right? Him, But he said that he was part of the on the campus. He was part of the school newspaper. And he was involved with the sports section, and anything relating to sports, he put his heart and soul into. And knowing your love for sports, particularly basketball, you know, I'm glad that you're using this platform and this show to help expand and build your career. Yes, so I'm thankful for you doing that. And you just want to share with us some of the ideas you may have in terms of developing content for our program?
No problem. So for content-wise, you know, I really want to just get out there and, you know, I don't want to start my own thing. I just want to, you know, build off what you've done because you've already set the platform for just, you know, great content to be produced. And I don't know, I'm just more or less just focused on, like you said, our urban heroes, real huge basketball guys. So I definitely want to, you know, touch on, you know, maybe those basketball players who don't get as much shine as they should, who are, you know, doing well in the course as well as the classrooms, or, you know, those people who've graduated and, you know, contributing to their communities. And we have a lot of people who also went overseas doing their thing and come back and still find time to get back to Queens. So I think those are just, you know, the main people.
Yeah, you got to remember, this is, we're Queens, we got our Queens roots, but this is a Bronx audience.
Yeah, exactly.
And we want to, hopefully, our goal is, because we do have a YouTube channel, so there's an opportunity for our audience to be global.
Exactly.
But I kind of want to remind you that this is a Bronx thing. This is a Bronx. I know we Queens, but
if
this is
the
a
Bronx
Bronx
will have us, you know, we'll definitely find all the fashion.
They're showing us mad love, mad love.
Okay, that's a good thing. It's never too much love. We'll take it.
Exactly.
But I mean, but like you said, it doesn't just pinpoint to Queens. You know, all players are doing really well. You know, and just trying to broaden our horizon, broaden our platform, because that's what we need. We need more platforms that are like uplifting other, you know, people that look like you and I. And,
correct.
You know, we need that as much as possible.
Correct. Can we just, for a brief moment, I just want you to tell us who is your primary inspiration in your life?
My primary inspiration?
Or two people, if it's not one person.
I mean, definitely my parents, but like my dad, like he's a huge person. Just, you know, kind of giving me that, I guess that tunnel vision to, you know, once you have something on your mind to complete it. But definitely my mom too. I would hate to leave her out. Like that hard working, like work ethic that came from her. Being a perfectionist, having to do my homework at least 15 times, even though it was correct, but because it wasn't neat, that wasn't right, and you know, just other things where, it was just my gift of gab come from those guys. Just, being able to read a room and being able to articulate the way I need to, present something. I definitely got that from them, and I really appreciate them for, being in my life and helping me out with that.
Okay, man. Thank you for sharing that. We look forward to having you as a part of our
Yes, sir.
Ignite, Empower, Transform family, and we're looking forward to your input and your leadership and all the support. And I know how you roll, brother.
So
and I just want to also welcome you to the fraternity, Alpha
appreciate
Phi Alpha.
that, Alpha Alpha. You
Yes,
already
sir.
know how it is.
All right.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish. In your face, in your face, in
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Hi, my name is Hosea James Gavan II, and welcome back to the second segment of Ignite, Empower, Transform. We do have a special guest coming to us via Skype, a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Ken Palmer from Atlanta, Georgia. Ken, what's up, man?
Hey, everything's going great. How about yourself?
I'm good. Ken is a former schoolmate of mine. We both attended Drake University. Ken has many leadership roles in the Atlanta area. Ken, if you can just take a couple of moments just to share with our audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, actually, yeah, I'm living in Atlanta right now. Grew up in the Midwest where I went to school at Drake University and where I met Hosea. I guess here in Atlanta, I've been for quite a few years and very much involved through the fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, as well as my church. And I have 4 daughters. So I grew up coaching girls fast pitch softball, and I continue to do that now, even though my girls have grown. Have long since grown up and stopped playing. So that's kind of thing. And I'm father of 4 daughters, as I said, married for 36 years. So it's been a good time, a good life.
Okay, Ken, I want to just talk about our focus as an organization in this particular program, Ignite, Empower, Transform. And my requesting you to be a part of this particular program is basically based on your commitment and dedication to uplifting young people. You talked about your commitment to coaching. You've been coaching for quite some time now. Many of our guests up to this point have been coaches. But what I find most impressive about your commitment to coaching and uplifting young people is, as you mentioned, although that your daughters are no longer a part of the system that you were part of in terms of teaching softball, you're still engaged, you're still committed. I want to also, and this bit goes back to a conversation you and I had in Orlando, Florida this past summer, and it was very insightful. I want you to basically describe some of your coaching strategies or philosophies in terms of how you build your players. And after you do that, I'd also like for you to kind of talk about how coaches can better relate to today's young person or today's student athlete, because for many reasons there are some challenges dealing with the group of young people that we're involved with today for reasons of no fault of their own. But it has become somewhat of a challenge being able to kind of get the kind of support is not the right word, but to maximize the opportunity to get the most out of the relationship between a coach and a player because of some of the dynamics that exist in society today. And you were able to kind of help me understand how to best go about dealing with that. So part A was your coaching philosophy, and part B is what I just mentioned.
Okay. Well, the philosophy that I have really is about teaching the kids the fundamentals, giving them the tools, and then trying to instill in them the the ability to trust themselves and trust their own judgment. Quite often, you get coaches who will stress the importance on being on winning at all cost. And I'm a firm believer in the old saying that it's not whether you win or lose, but how you play the game.
Right.
Because ultimately, they've got to be able to be solid, sound, fundamental players. And then once they are in the game, once they're starting to play, they've got to trust that they understand the fundamentals, they understand the game, and they have the ability to make good decisions, and they can trust those decisions. One of the things that I do whenever I have a player that makes an error in the game, I will go up to them as they come off the field and I say, okay, you made a mistake. Do you understand what happened? If they say yes, then my response is simply don't do it again. Because there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Everybody's got to make mistakes because that's what helps you learn.
Right.
If you never make a mistake, you never learn.
Right.
So making a mistake is not a problem. It's repeating the exact same mistake all the time that becomes an issue.
Right.
Which tells me that there's something that you didn't learn. There's something that we need to go back and teach. So my whole philosophy is be fundamentally sound, understand the rules and how to play the game, and then trust your judgment, because that's the most important thing, that they can believe in themselves and they can trust themselves. And as you mentioned, I've been doing this for close to 30 years. My daughter that is now 35, and she started when she was like 4 or 5 years old, and that's when I started coaching. And over that 30-year span, I've seen a change in the kids that come out for the team and the kids that play. Whereas early on, when I first started with my daughter, I had mostly fathers, daughters, mothers. I had complete families coming out to the ballpark. Over the years, I've seen that change quite a bit, where it's usually either just one parent, if I get parents at all. Sometimes they just drop the kid off.
Right.
But that's changed over time, and as a consequence of that, and I'm not blaming parents, because I know parents have they got a lot on their plate now.
Correct.
But as a consequence of that, you get kids that are a little more skeptical. And let me back up, because I think it's more than just the fact that I don't see the entire family. But then you also have kids that are bombarded with so much information now, with social media and the news being on all the time, and in media. They've got so much more knowledge than we ever had.
Right.
So when you put all of that together, you get a different type of player, a different type of kid.
Right.
And as we were talking in Orlando, what I was trying to get across is that you can't expect to address those kids in the same way that we were addressed. Right. They've got a different set, a different knowledge base. So you really have to kind of try and find out where they are and meet them. Right. Like I said, always go back to the fundamentals, because ultimately when I'm coaching softball, the fundamentals are still the same. Right. The fundamentals don't change. So those things are basic. Right. And so those become part of what's going on. Right. But now getting into, I think when we talked in Orlando, we talked specifically about why aren't young people more involved in, as what we call, the movement? Why aren't they more involved? Why aren't they excited about being involved in certain things? Right. And I think it really comes down to the change, and again, some of this more information that they're getting, right, and the lack of that nuclear group. Right. They lose trust. When I came up there, I learned to trust adults. Right. And the adults that were in my life were good people. I'm not saying that aren't good people, but they were good people, and you could trust those good people. Right. Kids now are growing up to being a little bit more skeptical about that. So you can't really expect them to react to us the way we reacted to our elders. While, you know, you hear a lot of them say you got to give respect to get respect, and to a lot of strong degree, that's the case with a lot of these kids.
Right.
Is you've got to meet them where they are, and you kind of have to a certain degree, you have to try to treat them like you would a peer rather than a child.
Right.
Especially when you're talking about young adults.
Right.
You know, you've got you now have to show them through your actions, through what you say, through what you do. They have to be in lockstep in order to build that relationship. Because right now we build that relationship. You got to build those relationships in order for them to believe in you.
Right.
So that then you can go about imparting knowledge that you've gained.
Right. Ken, I just want to thank you for departing that wisdom. I thought it was so profound when you first shared it with me, and I thought you were spot on in terms of the information you just shared. I think that we have to get more adults to understand exactly what you said, and if you were able to do that, then we can help to, we used to call it back in our day, when we were younger, they used to call it a generation gap. I don't really hear that term used much anymore, but there seems to be a generation gap. And if we can help to bridge that generation gap through the suggestion that you just made and just being more insightful in understanding of young people today, I think we can make some gains in terms of trying to help to fortify relationships between older adults and younger adults. So I thank you for sharing that. I think it's valuable information. And I also want to thank you for taking the time on this Saturday afternoon. I know this is a busy day for you. I know you're at a family affair, a birthday party of one of your grandchildren. So I thank you, Ken, for sharing that with us, taking the time. And I know hopefully in 2018 we will get you back, because I know you're working with us on another project that we're developing in 2019. One of the things that Ken Palmer, he did mention that he's active with his church, but what he didn't do was actually indicate what that church, the name of the church, and he actually is a member of Ebenezer Baptist Church, which is the same church in Atlanta, Georgia, that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King once pastored. And so he's on the board of trustees there. He's in a leadership role there. And we're working on a project together. Hopefully it'll come together and we'll be able to make a special announcement in 2018. So again, Ken, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. And I look forward to talking with you again soon. My dear brother, this is a great friend of mine who I have a much admiration and love for. Thank you very much, brother.
It's always a pleasure talking with you, Joey. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. 06, baby.
All right, 06.
We want to thank our two guests, John Jenkins Jr. and Ken Palmer, for joining us. And of course, you, our audience, for joining us again for another episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. See you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm your host, Larry V. Stark Jr.
I'm your host, Rachel Cheeks Gavan.
I'm your host, Hosea James Gavan II.
I'm your host, Rebecca Gavan.
Tune in to
Ignite,
Empower,
Transform
every Tuesday night
at
8 p.m.
on BronxNet.
Get back.